First tonight, the man suspected of shooting dead 9 people at an African-American church in Charleston, South Carolina, has now reportedly confessed to the crime. A disheartened president urged Americans to recognise a violent culture that does not happen in other advanced nations, as a very disturbing picture emerged of a young man apparently driven by racial hatred. Our North America correspondent Michael Vincent is in Charleston, South Carolina.
21 years old and driven by hate. Dylan Roof was arrested 400 kilometres from the crime scene. Families of the victims say he sat in a prayer meeting beside black parishioners for nearly an hour before opening fire.
He had reloaded 5 different times, and her son was trying to talk him out of doing that act of killing.
It didn't work.
He just said, "I have to do it. You rape our women and you taking over our country."
Dylan Roof's father reportedly gave him a handgun for his birthday. His Facebook photo paints a chilling portrait. The scowling stare, a jacket with 2 apartheid-era African flags, symbols favoured by white supremacists. One school friend said he was a heavy drug user and police had recently arrested him for possession. Other friends said he had changed in recent months, spewing racist ideas, saying he wanted to hurt people and start a civil war.
It's also reported that one of the people inside was left alive so they could tell the story. It has been confirmed by police that a 5-year-old child, a girl, played dead to survive this massacre.
It's just very sad, you know.
Yes, I am angry. I'm supposed to be angry. I'm supposed to be frustrated.
Democrat Congressman James Clyburn says race hate is still a major problem in the South.
We have had all kinds of vandalism of the black church in that community. So this is what they do.
President Obama knew one of the victims personally, but despite tens of thousands of deaths and repeated massacres, gun control remains off the political agenda.
At some point, we as a country will have to reckon with the fact that this type of mass violence does not happen in other advanced countries.
A plea from a president to pro-gun Americans, unwilling to compromise their right to bear arms. Michael Vincent, ABC News, Charleston, South Carolina.
David Smith is from the United States Study Centre at Sydney University. He says that despite the latest incident, it'll be politically impossible, as we just heard, for the president to change America's gun laws.
Unfortunately for President Obama, the questions are always the same and the answers are always the same. This is the 14th mass shooting that has happened since he's been the president. After many of these mass shootings, he's always been asked, is there a possibility to tighten America's gun laws to make it harder for people to get guns? But if that didn't happen after the massacre of 20 school children in Sandy Hook in 2012, it's not going to happen now, no matter how horrific this last killing has been. And President Obama has recognised that it's politically impossible to get gun control in the United States now, and so his comment was that at some point in the future the United States is going to have to deal with this problem.
Why do you think it's incapable of looking inward and, to his point, not recognising that this level of violence would not be tolerated in any other advanced economy?
That's right. The United States' rate of gun homicide is 3 times as high as the nearest advanced industrial democracy. It's about 10 times as high as Australia's. This is directly linked to how prevalent guns are in American society. There is more than one gun for every man, woman and child. One of the things that makes gun control impossible is, to some extent, that the genie is so far out of the bottle. Something like the Australian gun buyback scheme, which occurred in 1996 and which involved taking back something like 20,000 semi-automatic weapons, would be almost inconceivable in the United States, where there are tens of millions of semi-automatic weapons in circulation, not to mention literally hundreds of millions of handguns, which is the weapon that was used in this shooting. So gun control is widely seen as practically impossible. It's certainly politically impossible. We have definitely seen that.
And this is because, of course, the fact that it's enshrined in the Constitution.
It is enshrined in the Constitution that citizens have the right to bear arms, although it's only been since 2010 that the Supreme Court has interpreted that as an individual right to bear arms. Even though that's in the Constitution, what we've seen in the last few decades in the United States is a real militarisation of the civilian gun culture that doesn't just come from the Constitution or from hunting culture or from the right to self-defence. We're seeing more and more people hoarding military-style weapons and planning their own military-style operations. We're really seeing a mutant gun culture in the United States that is actually a fairly recent thing. And politicians are basically powerless to stop it because of how profitable it is to arms manufacturing companies and to gun retailers who exercise a major political voice through the NRA, who exercise major political discipline through the NRA's ability to threaten especially Republican congressmen or Democratic congressmen in conservative states if they don't toe the line. So unfortunately, gun control looks politically impossible at this point, and it's hard to say when it will become politically possible. Certainly even the most horrific mass killings don't make it politically possible.
Indeed. I'm interested to know what you think drives this mutant gun culture that you talk of. Is it a racial divide? Is it economic disadvantage? What is it?
Part of it is a deliberate marketing campaign on the part of gun manufacturers. When President Obama got elected, the NRA sent all of its members emails saying stock up on guns now because Obama's coming to take them away. That was in 2008. In 2012, when he got elected, there were more emails sent out saying stock up on guns now. After every massacre, the NRA sends out emails saying stock up on guns now, Obama's coming to take them away. Of course, the guns never do get taken away, but there's a level of paranoia feeding this gun culture. And the fact that after every massacre, the NRA or other gun lobbyists respond with a suggestion that the solution is that everybody should be armed so that when somebody opens fire, you can fire back at them. This is just advertising for guns. And this is where the gun culture is in the United States right now. It doesn't help as well that police are becoming increasingly militarized in the United States. And after Congress authorised the transfer of retired military equipment to police departments in the mid-90s, ever since then we've seen this steady militarisation of the police, which means that the police often look like an army in a town defending against counterinsurgents. And it's not surprising when police are permanently dressed in SWAT gear, when they're driving around in mine-resistant tanks, that there are going to be citizens who think that they need to be armed to the teeth as well. So there's an arms race going on between the police and gun enthusiasts. The gun lobby is fueling paranoia that the government is coming to take guns away. And what we're seeing now is that even though fewer American households than before own guns, it's about 35% of American households compared to about 49% after World War II, the number of guns in circulation is increasing. It's concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. And so often we see in mass shootings, not in this case, but in other mass shootings, we see that the guns have been taken from somebody's huge home arsenal. So this is going to be a very difficult force to stop.
An absolute vicious cycle. Thank you so much for talking to us, David.
My pleasure.